Europa is truly our next most logical destination in the search for life beyond Earth. We need to find worlds that are similar to Earth. We need to find the worlds that have the requirements for life to even be created. That first one is water. And boy, Europa's got loads of it. It's a veritable water world. No, not that water world. This world would also need a source of energy and also contain the required chemical compounds that is needed for life to even take place. Europa seems to have all of these things. While we don't know yet for sure, scientists are quite confident that this world can contain most of it, or perhaps even all of it. So what are our theories about Europa and how it could contain life, and what do we need to look for? First off, we need the basic building blocks of life: carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, and sulfur. So what about the surface of Europa? Can any sort of life take place on the surface of Europa? It doesn't seem necessarily so. Europa's surface is blasted by the radiation that comes from Jupiter, which is not great for life on the surface. Since Europa has a thin atmosphere, most life on the surface could not survive. Another interesting thing to note is that recently the James Webb Telescope actually confirmed the presence of carbon and carbon dioxide on the surface of the planet itself. It is possible, however, that the radiation from Jupiter can create the fuel for life deep inside under the ice in the oceans. So first off, what we do see on the surface are water plumes. This indicates that there must be some kind of activity underneath the ice of Europa. As we look from early satellite photos of Europa, it shows that Europa's surface is actually very smooth compared to other planets. There are patterns of cracks and ridges that may suggest a giant ocean underneath waits below. It is theorized that the ocean below is actually responsible for shaping the surface above, which is why the surface is very smooth. These oceans are constantly reshaping the surface underneath. Scientists believe that the ocean below is allowing for giant tides to take place that help shape the surface. This is why we see very few impact craters. The surface is constantly being reshaped by these oceans. The geology of the surface itself suggests that there is possible warm ice has actually come up through the ocean below, through the surface. This constant ebb and flow and reshaping of the surface is due to tidal warming. Tidal warming is known to create heat inside of a planet. In fact, if there is enough tidal warming, it is possible for a world to have a liquid ocean. It is caused by volcanic activity and furthermore produced by the gravity produced by its home planet, Jupiter. The Galileo mission showed that Jupiter's magnetic field was somehow disrupted or changed in the space specifically around Europa. This implies that Europa is generating its own type of special magnetic field, which gives us potential evidence that this is being brought on by the presence of salt water. A giant global ocean of salty water could definitely be what is causing these magnetic fields and adding to the tidal warming. Scientists also think that volcanic activity is happening underneath all that ice. We have proof of that in images that were taken of actual water plumes spewing from the planet. This can only happen if there is some type of force or pressure coming from underneath the ice. So the theory of Europa having a giant under the ice ocean is a very plausible one. We take with the knowledge that we have. Very few impact craters, which are being reshaped by the tidal forces within the planet, and the water plumes give us evidence that there's some type of active volcano melting this giant ball of ice and creating a subsurface ocean. Having this rocky volcanic interior, just like Earth, this activity can mix with the water and it can help to create the essential building blocks of life. All in all, the chances for life on Europa are very good and very compelling. But how are we going to accomplish turning theory into fact? We're gonna send them a clipper. No, not that clipper, although that would be pretty cool. Unfortunately, this mission won't be a space jam. The Europa Clipper is a spacecraft that will be launched by NASA. Its mission is to conduct a detailed survey to look for the potentials of life under the water in the oceans of Europa. But wait, that's not all. The European Space Agency has already launched, as of last year, their own spacecraft to scan all of the major moons of Jupiter. The Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer, also known as JUICE. Yeah, scientists with their acronyms again. The extra details that it can collect about Europa will undoubtedly be valuable. So let's take all the information we know. We have potential for carbon, definitely hydrogen. Nitrogen could be a possibility. There's definitely oxygen on the planet. In fact, the atmosphere, although thin, is 100% pure oxygen. And we may have the phosphorus and sulfur under the water from this supposed theorized volcanic activity. So with all that in mind, there's a very good chance to potentially have life under the ice of Europa. The travel time is reasonable. The elements and building blocks we need for life to exist are potentially on this planet and not delivered by any other means. I can quite confidently say that we definitely have a very good chance of finding life under the ice of Europa.